quarterbacks drafted before Shedeur, Ward, Dart, Shook, Milroe, and Gabriel. Nick, how surprised were you at the slide?
I mean, it's gobsmacking that he was available in the 5th round. That we talked on the show, could Jackson Dart go before him? Like, we thought maybe the Saints loved Jackson Dart. We thought, so that was on the board. Then there was some speculation, man, what if a team falls in love with Jalen Milroe after the success of Jalen Hurts? But Dillon Gabriel and Tyler Shough going in front of him was on particularly Gabriel, no one's draft board. Him being available in the 5th round was unfathomable. And, Coach, to me, it was a lot of things. But one of the primary things was a historic misreading of the situation by Deion and Shedeur.
Yeah.
The likes of which I don't think I've seen in any sport, in any moment for someone of this profile. He thought, he being Deion, the league saw Shedeur the way he saw Shedeur. And they acted throughout the draft process as if he were Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like, kid got arrested once. If people say he doesn't go hard on every play, the moment after he gets drafted, he's like, LT, give me that. You don't want to give it to me? And people are like, 12 sacks a year probably, so we'll deal with it. And thought that and I'm not putting the arrest stuff on, because Shedeur has a spotless, off-the-field record as far as any actual malfeasance, but he carried himself like, I am a blue chipper, and if you don't like me, it doesn't matter, because the next guy will, and I know where I want to go. And for Deion to be that plugged in, I thought, to the league, and not ever get a feel, this is way off from how the league thinks. Think about
even how many of the insiders.
Well, it was a big emperor has no clothes moment for the NFL
not just
insiders.
the guys doing drafts analysis, but just all your insiders.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying he could fall even to the 3rd round, Coach, let alone the 5th.
So when we talked about it right after the end of the season, one of the things that I said, and it's going to happen again next year, is that where we see quarterbacks right now, or where quarterbacks are perceived right now, is going to change dramatically. And Shough, he got a lot of attention and a lot of momentum as we got closer to the draft because of his size and some of the things that he had done. His age is a big detriment. Dillon Gabriel, he's a guy that's kind of fun to watch. He reminded me a little bit of Russell Wilson in the sense that he's running around, he's making plays, he's undersized, but you're like, well, this guy, I don't know exactly how he fits, but he could be really interesting to have on your team. So that kind of made sense to me as well. But as he started sliding, and we got past all the teams that needed quarterbacks multiple times, it could have easily gone further. And I think this was ownership decided in Cleveland. Similar to the Johnny Manziel. Nowhere near the same cost as Johnny Manziel was. But if you look, can we just pull up the picture? I know everybody's seen this picture, but if you look at the owner to the left, Jimmy Haslam, he looks like I look at when I have an argument with my kids, and where I'm going to get my way because I'm the dad, but I want them to be happy about what I'm saying and agree with me, but I'm angry because they're not. And these two guys, they're about as enthusiastic as as a guy.
That's Stefanski and that's Andrew Barry.
Yeah, Andrew Barry on the right,
yeah.
the GM, and Kevin Stefanski. I mean, it looks like someone popped all the balloons at the birthday party, and then they come out in the press conference, and they said they were tired, and they said, okay, if you're getting a gift, which is the draft is a lot of gifts, you're excited about it, and they obviously weren't. This could have gone further. Wow. To me, this is the owner intervened and said, we're in the 5th round. Let's take this guy. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it's not that big a deal.
I think that makes a lot of sense that it was the owner. Again, that's a picture. That looks bad. I agree with you on that. But when he initially said, at the first day after he slid, I was like, look, they didn't think he was as good as everybody was saying he was, and it didn't outweigh the distraction that Deion and just Shedeur would be because of his celebrity. When he kept slipping after day 2 and he's not drafted, and then it's the 4th round, he's not drafted. I mean, I started feeling sorry for him.
Yes.
And then he gets the call from, Jeff Ulbricht's kid and all that. But it also is hard, and I get it if you think he's not as good as Jackson Dart, right, let alone Cam Ward. but Shuck and Milroe and Dylan Gabriel, like, it began to feel like, man, something nefarious is going on. Like, this is more than just football. And look, I said it going into the draft. We talked about it a few times. I thought the specter of Deion Sanders was hovering over this thing. And I think now it's proven that it was hovering over it more than we even thought. Deion went on talk shows, Tamron Hall in particular, and said, yeah, I'm going to intervene. Like he was, like you said, talking like everybody wanted him.
But don't you think that none of that matters if they think the kid's the starter?
Yes, I do.
It hurt him once he's the backup.
If the kid is
then
awesome, then they'll overlook that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they didn't think Shedeur was good enough to override all that. And let me say this, because this is hovering around too. The elephant in the room for a lot of people, race. Because some people are saying race, Deion because he's black. A white father, would they have viewed that way? Look, are there owners in the NFL that maybe if it was a white father acting as Deion, wouldn't look at it as bothersome? Perhaps, probably, right? But here's the truth. Cam Ward, obviously, black quarterback chosen number 1. Second straight year, black quarterback chosen number 1. He's the 7th black quarterback that's been chosen number 1 in the draft. All right, 2 of the teams that overlooked Shedeur. Andrew Berry with the Browns, the GM is black. And if you're right, Coach, it was a white owner that said, go draft him. All right? We saw the picture. He didn't look excited. The Steelers, Mike Tomlin, black coach, they overlooked him. And if you look, I keep looking at the war rooms and when they have it, that was like the blackest war room in the league. Get more brothers in the war room, NFL. My goodness, it's like ridiculous. Where are the brothers at? But then you go to the reporters. The reporter that reported that people thought Shedeur was brash and arrogant was black, Josina Anderson. The reporter who said that Jonathan Jones, African-American, says that the feeling was Shedeur sandbagged, that's a direct quote, sandbagged some of his interviews, purposely didn't do well because he didn't want to go to those teams. He was African-American. When we start the season, week 1, anywhere from 15 to 17 of the starting quarterbacks will be black. So I'm just saying, race, maybe it was some sort of factor, but it was not the dominant factor in this situation.
And I don't see this as being nefarious at all. And your point is, it was more than just football. Because if he was really good if people evaluated him as being really good at football, at the end of the day, owners, GMs, head coaches, they're all inherently selfish. And they want to take someone that they think is going to help them win, and they'll overlook a lot of things if they think that's the case. But if the football side isn't there, then you're looking at, okay, what's this player's potential? And the potential ties into characteristics. And you say, okay, what characteristics does he have that's going to allow him to reach his maximum potential? And then it's what characteristics does he have that's going to prevent him from reaching that maximum potential. And it sounds like the process where the characteristics came into play went about as badly as it could go for that many teams to say over and over again. I'm shocked the Jets didn't jump in at some point.
But there's also, and I'm glad, Brew, you took it there because there's something I want to say about that. But it's also the valuation of a player at this position is very different if you're being drafted to be our starter or being drafted to be the backup. If you're being drafted to be, a long-term backup that maybe one day we'll see, you want certain traits about study, about teammate, about these things. If you're drafted to be a starter, you want upside. You know what I mean? Wow stuff. And I think Shedeur was caught in the in-between where his tape for a lot of these teams was backup, his personality and everything goes along with him is starter, and there's also been the death of the second-round quarterback. Last 11 drafts, 10 years, there have been 7 total quarterbacks taken in round 2. It's the least drafted round 2 position other than kicker and punter. It's the quarterbacks that used to be round 2 quarterbacks that got pushed up to the first round, and then all those other quarterbacks go around where Shedeur did. Only one's been successful, by the way, Jalen Hurts. In a decade, we've had it's later round guys or first round guys. But there has, to me, been some. I agree with you 100%, Brew. I think it is obvious on its face that the brash confident, at times cocky, black quarterback is viewed differently by some than the exact same traits white quarterback. I think that's undeniable. I also think folks trying to construct a league-wide conspiracy based on the fact Shedeur Sanders won the Johnny Unitas Award, and therefore, guys, just as catch-all, guys in the last 15 years who've won the Johnny Unitas Award. Colin Klein, who went to the combine and they said, be a tight end, kiddo, and they made him do it. A.J. McCarron, 5th-round pick. Connor Cook, 4th-round pick. Gardner, who has a lot of similar traits to Shedeur, 6th-round pick. Max Duggan, 7th-round pick. Like, the idea that being an all-time great college quarterback, our friend Chase Daniel, I watched him at Missouri, rooted for him, almost won it, got to a national championship game, set all the records, was All-America, Heisman finalist, and was begging to get drafted because, not that he was begging, but he didn't expect to be a first-round pick. That happens all the time in college football. And then when you add to it that he skipped a lot of the opportunities to show that he was great. Right. When you don't, you participate. He treated the process the way the no doubt top 10
Travis
picks
Hunter
do. Right. And he wasn't that. And so a lot of this, Deion has done an amazing job with his boys, and I think is a real, like, as a father, someone you look up to as like a way to be involved and instill discipline and encourage all of it. This was his first, to me, real miss. Because I bet Shedeur was like, well, my dad says you got enough juice to where he can steer me away from certain teams. So I bet he was as shocked as anybody.
They didn't even hire an agent. And an agent would have been talking to teams and like, look, Shedeur, they're not viewing you, nearly as highly as we think. He would have let them know that. So.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.